Okay, good day everyone. So today we'll be talking about the full extent of the topic feed formulation. So last time, tong nag-online class ta via Google Meet, no, we talked about a little bit of feed formulation. So we started with Pearson Square method, but before feed formulation, we also discussed semi-intensively about the anti-nutritional factors or katong mga chemicals that are present in the plants or on our feedstuffs that could be harmful for our animals if wala na to siya na na-identify and we uh, put a lot of it sa ato ang feed above the safe consumption ratio. So today, we will be talking about ang katong other end of the feed formulation, which are a lot of things. So let's begin. Before we start with our topic on feed formulation, I want everyone to please bring out your one whole sheet of paper or your notebook, and please take note about the following because I will not be giving the PowerPoint for this specific lesson. Okay, so for the content of the topic feed formulation, we'll be talking about one, two, three, four, five, six, seven subtopics under the banner of feed formulation. So the following will be discussed. So the nutrient composition and the usage limitation of common feed ingredients. We will also be talking about the nutrient recommendation for the swine, poultry, and ruminants that includes the dairy animals. And we'll also be talking about the factors to consider in balancing rations, also feed mixing, and also we will be taking a look on some of the sample feed preparations. Uh, and we'll also be talking about the feed or urea feeding for ruminants. And lastly, we'll be talking about the antimicrobial agents that are present in feed formulation. All right. So when we talk about the nutrient composition, no, that basically involves feed ingredients. So as we know, feed ingredients vary in nutrient density. So when we talk about nutrient density, it refers to the ratio between the inclusion of macronutrients, for example, the carbohydrates, the protein, the lipids, and the ratio in the ratio of the micronutrients that includes the minerals and the vitamins. So that's for the nutrient density. We also be talking about the digestibility of each and every feed ingredients, the anti-nutrient factors, and also the safe inclusion rates. So each and every one of the feed ingredients that you can see on the screen have different nutrient density, digestibility, anti-nutrition factors, and safe inclusion rates. Some nutrients or some feeds can be safely added sa ato ang ration in relatively smaller amounts, and there are some feed ingredients na they're safe even if a lot of it is included sa feed ration. So therefore, it is um, important to understand the nutrient profile and their limitations to prevent toxicity or pagkalason sa tong hayop and to reduce cost and most importantly to improve the animal performance, whether that may be growth performance or laying performance. So there are two types or two common energy sources. So we have the carbohydrate source and the protein source. So when you see carbohydrate source, these are the ones that are the cheapest usually, and the most efficient energy, or they provide the most efficient energy. And they typically it is very easy to spot the carbohydrate sources. No, if you look at the table, um, which will be provided later on sa next video, no, all the carbohydrate sources have a crude protein content that is below 20%. So you might say, ma'am, say examples. So examples would be katong mga rice bran, corn grits, molasses, and so on and so forth. So those are carbohydrate sources, or those that have below 20% crude protein content. Now, for the second common energy source, we have the protein source. So, unlike the carbohydrate source that is cheaper and more efficient in terms of energy providing, ang protein source is usually used for the um, growth, the repair, and the building of tissues. So, of course, majority sa lawas isa ka hayop or even humans, they comprise of protein. Everything. So that includes the muscles, the skin, the the hair, the fur, the feathers, or even the nails. So all of which are um, protein or made up of protein, especially for the muscles. Now, if you focus on muscles, that's where you see the full extent of the importance of the protein source or the protein. Okay, so for the protein, the crude protein content is usually above 20%. So if you recall sa itong mga feed formulation tungkol sa inyong previous assignment, right? Tungkol sa inyong blue notebook, you would see some feedstuffs. For example, the soybean oil meal or the soya meal, the fish meal. So all of which have, let's say, 40% na crude protein content, which are the main characteristics of protein sources. Um, they exceeded the 20% 20% barrier. So essentially, tanan na makita nyo na feed ingredients or feedstuffs na ay CP content above 20 is automatically branded as the protein source. Okay, so next I'll be showing to you some commercially available feedstuffs. So these are the feed ingredients that are usually available here in the Philippines, if not in your locality. So first is for the carbohydrate sources. We have the the cassava meal. So this is the image of the cassava meal. So as you can see, it's powdery, right? So you achieve this type of consistency, yung powdery na cassava meal, when you grind the cassava chips. When you grind the cassava chips. So this is the powdered residue of the chips and roots after processing to extract the edible starch. So what you can see in the picture is essentially like harina na ba? But for the feedstuffs, it's not cassava flour that we use, no? It's the cassava meal because it's the byproduct or the residue from the cassava chips and roots. Okay, so next we have corn. So corn, I know all of you knows about unsa itsura ning corn, so I will not explain it to you. However, what I will do tell you is that kung anong yellow ang color ni corn kernels. So it is yellow because of the presence of the carotene and the xanthophylls. So essentially, the xanthophylls, they provide the yellow pigment to the chicken skin and the egg yolk. So normally class, if kamo magpakaon mog daghang tahop sa inyuhang manok, automatically ana ang resulting na eggs ana sa inyong manok would be naa siya'y yellowish na egg yolk. And that is because sa iyang diet, which is primarily corn. So next, we have corn grit. So unlike sa corn kaganihan na tibok kernel, so the corn grits are essentially those that are the hard, flinty portion of the corn or of the sound corn. So with little or none of the starchy part of germ. So they usually contain practically all the crude fiber found on the grain. So, essentially class, ang corn grit is essentially karang mura siya katong buo lang siya na corn but naa siya yung mga parts na gipang hati-hati. So, dili is karang ano siya, gi-grind. No, but not to the extent na may mo siya powder. Karang medyo crumbly lang siya og consistency. So, yun na siya. Next is we have the dried whey. So, dried whey is also powdery as seen in the picture. So the dry whey is resulted as the product of the removal of water from clean, sound cheese or casein whey. So gikan din siya sa cheese desi, dried whey. So essentially, kaya siya gigamit as feedstuff because whey is rich in lactose and unidentified growth factors that could positively impact the growth performance of animals, especially sa mga poultry, to mga broiler na to, or even sa mga cattle, no? Or even sa swine. So that is why ang dried whey is common siya ginagamit sa commercial na feed mills. Next, we have molasses. So molasses is liquidy. Kabalo naman siguro mo sa itsura sa molasses, so I will not describe it to you. However, what I will tell you is that it is a byproduct of the sugarcane, and it is rich in niacin and pantothenic acid. So, aside from molasses, another liquidy na carbohydrate source is ang oil, which includes the vegetable oil and the acid oil. So, ano sa importance aning oil dari ah? So, there's a huge importance sa oil, especially if maghimo mo og kaning mga feeds and then you wanted your feeds to be in pellet form. So, ang atong oil karon they act as the binders of all the um, powder and all the mashes that karang inyong gi-compress hangtod siya mahimo siya karang formed na pellet and then karang dili siya madaot maski na wala niyo mo hilabtan. So that is due to the presence of lots of oil. Kana siya. So next we have the rice bran or kung sa Filipino pa kay darak. So it is made out of the pericarp or the bran layer of rice. So, of course, there are different classes of rice bran. So, the D1 is also referred to as the first class or itong pinaka-premium na version of rice bran. So, they usually have a crude protein of 11% and then fat with 12%, crude fibers 7%, and a moisture content of around 13% maximum. So, usually, ang ginagamit sa mga commercial feed mills and even backyard are the D1 because mas quality siya and it has a higher crude protein compared to the other classes of rice bran. Um, yeah. So, aside from D1, we have the second class of the rice bran, also known as the D2. Dili siya tong same ha. D2 as in second class of Darak. So, mura na siya Darak 1, Darak 2. So for the Darakto or D2, it is a second class or a coarse rice bran. So murag bula kay siya na tarong og powderized. That is why naa pa siya makita ng mga um, larger bits and pieces. And aside ana, since it doesn't look homogenized, so dili same nga powder tanan mo makita sa sako, pagkikita nimo sa rack nga dito, ang class niya, it also has a crude protein content of 8%, fat content of 4%, fiber content of 18%, and a moisture content of 13% maximum. So, essentially, dili kay siya goods isagol sa mga feeds. Unless wala na gitay other choice, o wala na tayo makitang other classes of rice bran aside from the two. Next, we have the kiskis, or the lowest class of the rice bran. So, compared to the D1, no, the crude fiber content of the kiskis is actually more than uh, karang less than doubled, no? So from 11% sa ato ang D1, nima lang siya 4% if the class of the rock is kiskis. So inana siya. So mo itsura sa kiskis. Okay. So next, we have the sorghum. That is the image of sorghum. So this is compatible to corn. So you can use sorghum as an alternative to the corn. However, it does not contribute to the vitamin A. So wala kay siya carotene content compared sa ato ang corn, but it has a lower fat content. Next, we have tallow. This is a type of fats as well. So this is an animal fat from either the carabao, the beef, or the sheep. The sheep, sorry. So now let's proceed sa protein sources. First is we have the blood meal. Blood meal is usually just a ground up dried blood sa animals. So it is often a source of lysine, which is a type of amino acid, although it is low in isoleucine. Next is we have the copra meal. So this is the image of the copra meal. Copra meal is also known as the coconut oil meal, since it is the byproduct obtained after the oil has been extracted from the dried coconut. So usually it is best mixed with other protein sources due to copra meal having they lack some essential amino acids that could be beneficial unta sa atong animals. So dapat parisan gid siya usually og other food na protein sources with those amino acids na lacking kay copper meal. Next, we have the corn gluten feed. So this is technically just a carbohydrates. However, what makes the crude protein content higher is because it is mixed with um, gluten or giglutenize siya na corn. No, so that's why it's been created into a corn gluten feed. Okay, aside ana napod siya corn bran appeal sa iyahang mixture, but on the protein sources na side, it is one of those protein sources na nasa sa lower side. So, siguro naro siya sa mga 20% na crude protein compared sa tong fish meal kaganiha nga. This is around mga 53% CP. No, so this is one of the protein sources na mas duol siya na siya sa kanang boundary between carbohydrate source and the protein source. Next, nibalik lang ta, mura gihapon ni siya. Sorry, the other one is corn gluten feed and the other one is corn gluten meal. So kari siya is more on the byproduct when the corn is processed to produce oil and starch. So mo na nitong powderized na version sa corn gluten feeds. So same sila, they are yellowish in color because of the presence of the yellow pigment or the xanthophyll, although they are lacking in some amino acids such as arginine, lysine, tryptophan, and threonine. Next is dried skim milk. So a dry skim milk is a byproduct or a product resulting from um, the removal of H2O from a clean and sound milk. So essentially, meron siya gatas, no, na walay water. So for example, ang mga skim milk, kanang hapit mga skim milk is kato makita ni sa mga tindahan, which is kato mga Bear Brand, kato mga Birch Tree nga nakasachet. Kato sila, they are essentially a type of skim milk na. Next, we have the fish meal. Fish meal are created or is created from a clean, dried, ground up tissues of undecomposed whole fish or fish cuttings. So karon wala gyapon siya gibulad ang ato ang fish na limpyo of course. And then after nimo siya nabulad, that is where you will grind karang gibotan mo siya blender or grinder to produce this type of powdery consistency. And that is how you create fish meal. So, Karisi fish meal, it is very beneficial as a feedstuff because it contains a good balance of different amino acids. Next, we have the hydrolyzed feed meal. So, hydrolyzed feed meals comes from the feathers of the slaughtered poultry. Mhm. So, they resulted from the treatment under pressure of clean and decomposed feathers from slaughtered poultry. Yes, so kibali, nagkuan lang sila og feathers sa mga manok na slaughtered, and then or not even just manok, pwede po siya duck, pwede po siya quails, and then gi-dried up tapos gi-grind siya hangtod sa mahimong powdered iyang consistency, and then that is how you create the hydrolyzed feather meal. Although kani siya is very high in good protein content, no? The same as the kaganiha tong mga other protein sources, they are also deficient in several amino acids. So they are deficient in methionine, lysine, tryptophan, and histidine. So this is also best na i-pair po ni siya sa other po na protein sources with kaning mga methionine, lysine, tryptophan, and histidine to combat the lacking. Next, we have the ipil-ipil leaf meal. Okay. So, mani itsura sa ipil-ipil, as you can see, no? So, this is a very good source of xanthophylls, and amounts recommended for use is limited due to the toxin mimosine. So, we already talked about the anti-nutritional factor mimosine from the previous discussion, di ba, to na Google Meet ta. So, di na ako siya discuss. However, when you speak of the name mimosine, dapat ang una din mo sulod sa iyong utok is ang great source ani mimosine is si ipil-ipil. So that's it. Wala na siya need ni i take into account, and then also please be very careful if himuon ninyo siya ng feedstuffs, especially kung ipakaon ninyo siya sa inyong mga baboy o sa inyong mga ruminants, especially kung ang inyong mga baboy na pakaonon is gestating or buntis. Because this, the mimosine from the ipil-ipil leaf can cause um, fetal abortion, no? So, please be very careful sa pagpakaonan ni. Yes, you can supply ipil-ipil leaf sa ilang diet. However, please put very minimal lang, no? Dili ang tibok diet sa pangbuntag sa atong baboy is ipil-ipil lang, ipil-ipil leaves lang. So dapat magbutang tagamay just to supplement sa protein na part, and then magbutang mo other ingredients, like for example mga tahok ba na. So just to lessen the presence of the mimosine. Next, we have the meat and bone meal or just bone meal. So from the name itself, very self-explanatory. no? These are created, or the meat and bone meal is created from drying rendered residues of the animal tissues, walay labot ang buhok, hoof, ang blood, and the contents of digestive tract. So, kato lang iyahang bukog ug iyahang panit. Okay. So, the meat products are low in two essential amino acids. So, kung magamit mo bone and meat meal or meat and bone meal, please take note that this feedstuff is lacking of the two essential amino acids, which is essential unta for example, swine. So, kung ingan-ani man siya, you have to use another protein source para masupply ni C, methionine, and C, tryptophan. Next, soybean oil meal. So, mo na itsura ni soybean oil meal. Medyo crumble siya og feed form. So, these are ang karing soybean oil meal, or also known as SBOM, kitaas mga siyang pangalan, are mostly frequently used oilseed meal in livestock feeds. So, from the name itself, makuha na to ni si soybean oil meal from the extraction of oil from the soybean. Okay. So, pag si soybean di ay gitanggalan mo siya essential oil or oil, kung sinabili na to, that is si soybean oil meal. So, kato di siya. Next, we have the spent grain. So, mo ni siya ang product in the brewing of beer. And we also have the wheat pollard. So, these are all byproducts in the processing of wheat into flour. We also have the Rensoni leaf meal. So, this is a forage. This Rensoni is a promising feedstuff that can substitute ipil-ipil and alfalfa in rations of non-ruminants. So, technically, you can use the Rensoni leaf meal, pero dapat dili siya maabot og 10% sa total ration. So, kung mabutang mo Rensoni leaf meal class, tama lang siya 10%. Never siya ma-exceed og 10.5% or 11% because taap na si anti-nutritional factors nga naa sa sulod sa Rensoni. Ano siya? Next, we have the feed supplement and additives. So, we have a lot sa tuang listahan. So, di na ako siya isa-isahon, but I will read them. So, for the feed supplement and additives, those are divided into two. No, we have the synthetic amino acids, ones that are not present sa majority sa feedstuffs na itong gipang-add to create a ration. So, these are the L-lysine, the D-L-methionine, the hydroxy analog. So, these are some of the synthetic amino acids that you can add. Also, we have the mineral supplement. So, examples sa mineral supplement, we have the ground limestone, the oyster shell, the steamed bone meal. Kari siya, sa steamed bone meal, dapat kung magbot mo ingon ani, dapat ang bone is thoroughly cooked. So, wala dapat kay bukog na undercook. Next is we have the dicalphos or tricalphos, or also known as dicalcium phosphate or tricalcium phosphate. So, kari sila gina-add ni siya sa ration sa mga layers nato. For example, sa mga layer hens na kung mangitlog sila kay humok ang shell sa itlog. So, muna siya ang ginagamit to strengthen or to supplement calcium for a stronger eggshells. Kana sila. And also, tapat po na tumalintan si sodium chloride or si common salt. And si trace mineral supplement or si vitamin premix. So, muna yung mga itsura nila. Okay, we also have the vitamin supplement. So, kaganya kay ano man to mga mineral supplements. So, karon, there are two, of course. So, usually, kari sila is katong mga mm, vitamins, so sa natay two types. So say fat soluble ug si water soluble. So sa fat soluble, we have the vitamin A, D, E, and K. And for the vitamin soluble vitamins, water soluble vitamins, we have the vitamin B complex as well as the vitamin C. And for the medicaments, we also have antibiotics, coccidiostat. Uh, co- Coccidiostat is essentially a medication for poultry, especially katong mga naigan og coccidiosis or katong mga manok nga kung mangiti sila kay basa tapos dugo or kanang reddish ang ilahang droppings. Next, we have the antimalarial, dewormers, and kato. And the last part for the commercially available feedstuffs, we have the non-protein nitrogen source. And the only example for this one is si urea. So si urea is kung naka-undergo mo sa inyong soil science 1, you would remember na si urea is ang yung fertilizer grade is 4600 katong si NPK ba. So essentially ibig sabihin na is na siya 46% na N or nitrogen. So kung i-convert natin siya into crude protein, no? So that would be 46% nitrogen would be 281% crude protein. So dako ra kayo no, murag alarming siya. So that being said, dapat kung maghatag tag urea sa atong hayop, kung pilian ninyo siya as feedstuff, you have to use very, very little lang sa urea. So later on, atong i-discuss sa kung asa ni siya pwede lang mahatag what specific species of farm animal. Okay. So here you can see na only no only the ruminants can be able to digest or use the urea because if it is being consumed in a larger amount, then that could lead to toxicity sa ato mga ruminants. So essentially daw, it is not recommended to exceed 30% of protein sa atong urea. So i-convert na to ni siya si 46% nitrogen, dapat dili ni siya maabot sa 30% na crude protein. So now let's proceed sa ato ang nutrient recommendation for swine, poultry, and ruminants. So of course, very self-explanatory, no, that nutrient requirements differ by species, no. Examples of species is katong mga cattle, carabaos, sheep, goat, poultry, a chicken, duck, quail, seven, swine. So these are different species. So they have different nutrient requirements. And also for those that are different in production stages. So unsa example sa production stages? Nabutang sa PowerPoint, no? You have the growth stage, reproduction, lactation, or even for the maintenance of the current body body weight sa hayop. So, let's start with the swine, no? So, here, ang gisulat nako diri is si growing finishing pigs and si breeding sows. So, why growing and finishing pigs? Because usually here in the Philippines, ang ginabaligya gyud usually is katong mga grower nga baboy ug katong mga pangmatada or we also call this as finisher pigs or finisher swines. So, okay. So, when you feed the growing finishing pigs, so there are nutrients that you have to consider. So, for the energy, we essentially use the metabolized energy for the counting. So, here you can see na gikan 3,200 to 3,100 kilocalories per kilogram ang iyahang ME or metabolized energy. So, pohon kung mag-solve mo ani sa Pearson square or via trial and error, dapat naalang diri nga bracket ang inyuhang resulting na metabolized energy. Because kung wala pa siya 3,300 or mobaba siya mga 3,000 kilocalories per kilogram, that means uh, dili kayo is efficient ang inyuhang nahimo na feed ration para sa wala na meet sa inyong feed ration nag-formulate ang energy recommendation para sa inyuhang growing swine. So next, we also have the recommended crude protein for the growing finishing pigs. So for the finishing pigs, katong mga matada na, they usually have a 12% no na crude protein content. And for the growing na pigs, those are the one that has 16% 16% na crude protein content. So all of which are of course subject for change depending on the age of the swine. Now for the lysine or for the amino acid, so lysine is actually the limiting amino acid for for pigs. So dari a class, you have to choose the feedstuffs kung mag-formulate man mo galing og feeds in the future, no? If you formulate feeds, you have to select feedstuffs na naa siya'y gamay nga lysine content. Kay kung taas ang lysine content sa inyong isa ka feedstuff na igipili para ipalahog sa inyong um, growing or finishing swines, then there could be some problems. And we don't want that sa tuang production or swine production. So next is another important na hisgutan sa nutrient requirements are are the minerals, calcium and phosphorus. So for the calcium, dapat ga-range lang siya sa 0.6 to 0.8%, and then si phosphorus naman dapat mo range lang siya sa 0.5 to 0.6% ang phosphorus content. Now for the breeding sows, dapat lang yung mawalan dari is you should supplement your breeding sows with high energy. So ibig sabihin sa high energy, so dapat more on mga carbohydrate sources, right? And also for protein because these will all be needed for the reproduction purposes. So before mag-abot si mating season or before mo tungtong si breeding sow sa estrus, no? Mag-inhit siya. So dapat inana iyahang diet high in energy and protein. And of course, for the proper calcium phosphorus ratio, so dapat masunod nato ang proper calcium phosphorus ratio, and that is for the avoidance of leg problems and reproductive issues. So we're done with the swine. Now let's proceed sa poultry nutrient recommendations. So it's divided into two. Now we have the nutrient recommendations for broilers and later on for layers. So let's start with the broilers. So katong mga naka-defense natong last week, no, we talked about the feeding management of your broilers. And we also talk about kung unsa na feed types ang ginakaon nila. Gikan sa ilang day old up until katong pagkal nila or pag-harvest. So now, mo ni siya. We have three actually. So first is a booster, next starter, and the last na feed type na kaunon sa inyong broiler is finisher. Now let's start with the booster, no. So booster, we want our chicks, brooder chicks, to take booster gikan sa day old hangtod 14 days. Or i-convert na to siya into weeks, that would be 0 to 2 weeks. Okay. So for the ME recommendation or metabolized energy recommendation for the boosters or for the booster, no, dapat naan siya sa around 2,800 to 3,000 kilocalories per kilogram. And that's it. Bawal mo lapas o bawal pad mo kulang. And for the crude protein content sa mga brooder chicks na to na ilhang need, that would be dapat around 21.5 to 23% crude protein. Dapat di siya mo taas ug dapat po dili mo ubos sa 21.5 ang atong ihatag na feed sa atong brooder chicks. Nga gakaon og booster nga feed type. Because what will happen if nag-supplement mo or naghatag mo kanang feeds sa inyong mga um, sa inyong ginabrooding no, that has, let's say, 20% crude protein. Essentially, mura ginapatay ra ninyong sariling production, no? That would mean na mas mukubol na ang tubo ana sa inyong hayop because you did not supplement a higher crude protein content sa inyong broods or sa inyong mga brooder chicks. So, dapat nagi na siya dira around 21.5 to 23% CP. And for the minerals naman, for the calcium, dapat dili siya mo lapas sa 84 point, 0.84 to 0.90. Dapat na lang siya dara ang range. And same for the phosphorus na 0.45 to 0.48 lang. And now, for starter, kani siya, ginhatag na siya sa inyong mga manok, inyong mga broilers, if mutungtong na sila 2 weeks up until 4 weeks. So, usually, si starter na to na feed formulation, ang ihang feed form ani is crumble. So, wala tayo makita na starter na mash. Kung naaman, bihira lang. But, wala tayo starter na makita nga pellets. Oh, so dapat naan siya sa crumble type. Karing mga feed forms, we'll be discussing it later within this presentation. Okay, going back, the starter, ang iyang nutrient recommendation is 2,700 to 2,900 kilocalories per kilogram na metabolized energy or ME. And then for the crude protein, 19 to 20% CP content. And for the calcium and phosphorus ratio, calcium should be around 0.81 to 0.87 and phosphorus would be around 0.41 to 0.44. Dira ang range. Walay labis, walay kulang. Next up is for finisher. So usually finishers are given to your broilers that um, that are around 4 to 6 weeks of that is around 4 to 6 weeks old. So kana siya ginahatag siya gradually hangtod sa maabot sa culling age or kung kano sa man siya i-harvest. So for the finisher na feed type, mo na nitong ang feed form is somewhere around crumble to mini pellets. Kani siya. Mo na itong feed formulation or feed form or itsura sa feed or texture sa feed is mini pellets or crumble. Namutana mo, ma'am, ang sa booster di ay. So, if you notice, kung nakapalit na mag booster once upon a time katong mga CBM or chick booster mash, you will see na powdered ang itsura sa booster nga pagkaon. Powdered or we also call it here as mash. So kara siya. But for starters, dito na mag-start ang crumble. Crumble nga feed form. And for ano naman sa finisher, it is somewhere along the depende sa company. Some companies na ay mini pellets na finisher like Integra, Integra 3000 and then we also have katong sa Pilmico nga finisher crumble. So kari siya energy na required for finishers is around 2,700 to 2,090 900 kilocalories per kilogram na ME. And then for the crude protein, it would be around 18 to 19% crude protein content. And for the calcium phosphorus na ratio, calcium would be around the range of 0.76 to 0.81 and the phosphorus of around 0.38 to 0.41. And now let's proceed sa layers. So layers, there are different um, feed types na kailangan sa layers. First is magsugod jud ta sa starter. Dili ta pwede magpakaw ng booster sa tuang layers because we are not um, the point of raising layers is not for their meat but for their eggs. And when you raise chickens for their eggs, you essentially need a lesser crude protein compared to their broiler nga counterpart. So with that, kung magpakaan mo galing sa inyong layers, you start with starter. So you feed your um, layer chicks from week 0 to week 6. Dapat starter ang inyong pakaon na. So for the energy required or the recommended energy for the starter layer feeds is around 2,750 to 2,850 kilocalories per kilogram. And for the crude protein, it's 19 to 20%. And for your minerals naman, calcium is 0.96 to 1.0. And for your phosphorus, it is 0.47 to 0.48. Na. Then after nitungtong og 6 weeks inyong sa inyong mga layer chicks, mo proceed na wala na pud inyong pakaunon. So ang inyong pakaunon na is not starter anymore. It should be grower na. And you feed your layer chickens with grower feeds from week 6, starting from week 6 to week 12. Yan na. And then the nutrient recommendation especially for the energy is lesser compared to the starter. No? So makita ninyo, nasa grower, you only need a range of 2,700 to 2,800 kilocalories per kilogram, ME, or metabolized energy. And for the crude protein naman, you also need something that is lower compared sa starter. No, so for the grower, you need a 15.70 to 16.30% crude protein content, and that is the nutrient required or recommendation for um, grower layers. And for the minerals naman, that is where you start seeing na nga itong mga nitaas na line of 1 ang mga numbers, especially for calcium. Because you have to remember na you are raising the layers to produce egg, not meat. So kare, magdagdag na ka og calcium content sa imuhang grower nga layer. So dali the calcium recommended is around the range of 1.13 to 1.18. And then for the phosphorus naman, it is on the steady side of 0.43 to 0.46. So baba gyapon siya compared sa starter. However, dili kay drastic ang pagtaas or pagbaba compared sa calcium na mineral. So after moabot sa week 12 ang imuhang layer chicken or imong layer hen, you need to switch the diet now from grower to what we call developer. So developer is usually being given to your layers if they are on along the age range of 12 weeks to 18 weeks. Mm. So the energy required for the developer is 2,650 to 2,750 kilocalories per kilogram. And for the crude protein naman, you need or the developer na layer would need around 14% to 14.5% na crude protein. And for the minerals, you need a calcium of 0.90 to 0.95. So, medyo nibaba diri, no? So, um, naay rason because naay rason kung anong mas nibaba si calcium content or calcium recommendation sa developer compared sa previous na pakaon niya, which is grower feeds. And then for the phosphorus naman, you need to reach at least 0.40 to 0.45. Mm. And the reason why nga gamay na mas nigamay si calcium recommended sa developer nga stage is because the body needs to prepare itself, no, para dili mo overwhelm ang calcium dayon in time na mag-produce na siya eggs. So diri man gud sa developer nga era or nga stage sa atong layers, no, this is where their body prepares the katong ihang reproductive tract na pwede siya ma-produce og egg, and then ang katong daluyanan pod is actually an egg can be able to pass through that. So that is why before pa mag-increase pinakalit ang calcium intake, need pa siya mubaba to prepare the body for the laying experience. So that is why during the developer nga stage sa pagpakaon, our layers are also called as RTL, or ready to lay na hens, or ready to lay pullets. So when you say pullets manggod, or PULLETs, those are the babae na layers that has not undergone the process of laying yet. Wala pa sila na kuan for mating, or wala pa pud sila naka-experience sa pagpangitlog. So tawag sila si pullets. But once they reach the point na nangitlog sila, they are no longer referred to as pullets, but is now referred to as hens. So that is why pag nahimo na siyang hens, they are usually referred to as hens na when they reach the age of 18 weeks. Ayan. So when they reach the age of 18 weeks old, so that is where you switch up the diet na sad from developer to what we call layer 1. So si layer 1, usually mo na siyang ginapakaon gikan sa sinugdanan sa laying period sa isa ka laying hen or layer hen up until almost isa ka tuig. So approximately 42 weeks. So from week 18 to week 42. Layer 1 ang atong ginapakaon sa ilaha. Or kung sa other brands man in Integra 4000, that is the laying mash. Karang ginapakaon sa atong mga manok. That is other term for layer 1. So for the nutrient recommendation, the layer 1 has a 2,700 to 2,800 kcal per kilogram ME. And for the crude protein, nita siya gamay compared sa atong developer. So from 16.9 to 17.5% crude protein. And then for the minerals naman, you can see the large difference compared sa nutrient required for calcium and phosphorus sa developer, no, nga developer nga portion og sa layer 1. So there is like a 3 point something difference, or almost 3 point something difference. Kita ninyo. And then for the phosphorus naman, steady gihapon na agya po sa line of 0.4. And the purpose nga nung ningkalit lag 3.45 to 3.58 ang recommended nutrient or calcium content, or recommended calcium intake for the layer 1 is because that is the time na magga-produce nila eggs, daghan kay nga eggs, and they need to produce a lot more nutrients, especially calcium, because there is a need of lots of calcium because daghan sila ginaitlog nga, daghan sila gina oviposit nga eggs every day. Maybe twice, maybe thrice, especially sa ilang peak sa production, which is around mga 36 to 42 weeks. Then after that, mukalit like decline ang ilang egg production. So that is why taas ang atoang calcium recommendation for the layer 1 nga feeds. And then for the layer 2, so pakaunon ning layer 2 nato if your layers are on the age of week 42 until kal. So pag mo tungtong isa ka tuig hangtod duha ka tuig until wala na gyud dili na siya productive in terms sa pag lay og itlog karang mo lang pakaon na lang kasi ilaha og ano karang feeds pero wala na kasi lagi na produce nga egg in return. That is where you will cull na your layer hens. Cull meaning i-exclude na siya sa imuhang kulungan because that specific layer hen is no longer usable. Dili na siya productive as before. So, in that kind of um, sense, no? So, mag-switch up tag diet from layer 1 to layer 2 na. So, layer 2 is given for layer hens aging from week 42 until cal, no? And the energy required for the layer 2 is, I think um, it's the same for the layer 1 na 2,700 to 2,800. Okay. So now let's proceed sa ruminants nutrient recommendations. So for this one, it is divided into two two types. So we have the beef cattle, so one that is specifically bred and produced for their meat, and the other one is for dairy cattle, the one that is bred and um, produced in mass for their milk. So for the beef cattle, they need a high fiber diets and supplemented with energy and protein, of course. In terms of energy, they need around 60 to 70% TDN, or also known as total digestible nutrients. And for their crude protein naman, they need around 10 to 14% crude protein. Mm. And for cattle that is used for dairy, they are the ones that require the most nutrients among ruminants due to the milk production. So for the energy, of course, they need high energy concentrate mix compared to their beef cattle counterpart. And for the crude protein content naman, they need significantly higher crude protein compared sa beef cattle counterparts. So here, you can see na the dairy cattle needs 16 to 18% CP, especially for those high yielders na breed. So for example, kato mga Holstein Friesian, Jersey cattle. So kana sila, they need higher crude protein content. And for the fiber naman, compared sa beef cattle counterpart, the dairy cattle needs a minimum of 30% roughage and more on sa concentrate. So, ibig sabihin, in direct translation, mas daghan og pakaon og karang mga taho, karang mga greens, si dairy cattle compared ni beef cattle na dapat mas daghan og pakaon o karang mga roughages, for example karang mga grasses napier, ipil-ipil, unsa pa na karang mga hay nila, microgreens, alfalfa, those ones. So dapat high fiber ang diet ni beef cattle, and then for dairy cattle naman dapat high concentrate. Mm. Dapat high energy, or the energy is being produced by what? The carbohydrates and protein. So, dapat dira mag-concentrate. So, of course, for the calcium, the dairy cattle needs they are very demanding of the mineral calcium, and that is due to their milk production. That is to say na dako ang calcium requirement na kailangan to maintain a cattle a dairy cattle's body. Okay. So now let's proceed on the factors that you need to consider in balancing a ration. So there are a lot of factors that you need to consider no kung gusto ninyo mag-formulate og feeds. So first is ang species and age. Of course, you need to select if the animal that you need is um, temperate or tropical. So ibig sabihin, are they able to thrive in arid and dry areas like in the Philippines, or are they usually adaptable to countries with four seasons such as Japan, New Zealand, Australia, Europe, no? So you need to consider the species. So if you're going to produce your cattle here in the Philippines, I suggest you crossbreed the temperate breed of, for example, cattle with the native breed so that it has a higher chance of survivability that is the Philippines, and also matandi pod or ma mo increase no mo increase ang production, let's say sa meat or sa milk no sa native animals nagikross sa atong pure breed from temperate countries. And also, of course, you need to consider the age. As you can see kaganiha, different ages requires different nutrients. So for example, tong sa broiler ganiha, yuso na mas gamay ang energy na kailangan sa atong mga na under karang mga gipang brooding nato na chicks compared sa mga broiler na finisher na. And then you also notice na ang crude protein content sa mga um, broiler chicks na ginatagaan og booster has a higher crude protein content compared sa mga broiler finishers which has around 18 to 20%. So those are the things that you need to consider in terms of age. And then next is the production stage. You need to consider if ang kana is for growth, kana is more on for lactation. So if it's more on lactation, dapat mas mag-increase sa energy o dapat mas taas ang calcium content. And then if it is for reproduction, ingon ana. So there are difference in different production stage. Next is the nutrient requirements. As I said kaganiha, uh, the karang younger animals would need a higher amount of protein compared to the older animals, and then same for the energy, just vice versa. No, the younger animals need lower energy compared to older animals, and same with the minerals. Next is, of course, you have to check if the um, available live feedstuffs are really available in your area or in your locality. Kay kung dili siya available sa inyong area, makaingon mo, ay dili siya available diri, pero available siya sa Shopee ba na or Lazada. But you have to think if sustainable ba ni siya in the long run. Kung ipagpatuloy ba na ko, dili siya hago, dili ba siya dagdag gastos, dapat ba lahi na lang akong gipiling nga feedstuff? So, that you need to consider as well as ang cost for each feed ingredients. Because you have to remember class na protein sources are much more expensive compared to the carbohydrate sources. Mas mahal si tahop compared kay copramil. Tanaw, mas pag i-check ninyo na sa mga agrivet, you will see na carbohydrate sources are much less expensive compared sa carbohydrate sources such as karma copramil, soybean oil meal, ipil-ipil leaf, siguro kana libre. But kana naapod siya yung mga anti-nutrient, anti-nutritional factors ay. So, you have to really think properly, no? And also, you have to consider the digestibility of the ingredients. Also, the presence of the ANFs or the anti-nutritional factors, to mga toxic sa ato ang animals, pagdakan og consumption. And also, you have to consider if ang feedstuffs nga inyong gipili for to create aeration is tamis ba siya for your animal? Is it salty? Is it too bitter? So kung too bitter unya dili lami anang hayop, nagsiyang-siyang lang kag formulate og feeds unya. Dili ra di siya kaunon sa mga animals. Although ingon nato nga yes, kanang na-hit niya tong target na metabolizable energy or na-hit niya tong crude protein na required para ani nga specific production age ug nahit pud niya ang target na calcium ug phosphorus. Naara dito nga range tong ingon ni ma'am. Pero kung dili ganahan mo kaon ang inyong hayop ana sa inyong gi-formulate na feeds, what's the point, right? So, palatability bisabihin ang lasa sa inyong gi-formulate na feeds. Next is the nutrient interaction. So kana ang Ca or calcium and phosphorus nga ratio and even the energy and the protein ratio. Energy meaning katong carbohydrates and protein ratio. So dili pwede nga nagbutang kag calcium tapos wala siya phosphorus content. Dili na siya pwede. And then same thing sa kung puntahay hatag mo og or mag-formulate mo og feeds tapos more on energy lang wala ka nagbutang og feedstuffs nga kanang proteinous or rich in protein. Dili siya pwede. So dapat na ay duha gina siya na ay 1:1. One ingredient na naay energy source o one ingredient na rich in protein. So inana siya dapat. And then lastly, the last thing that you need to consider is ang animal health and environmental conditions. Because in ani, especially sa environmental conditions, if the current weather is hot and humid, so big sabihin, dali ra kaayo or prone ra og heat stress ang inyong hayop na pakaunon. So, unsa ba na pagkaon ang init sa lawas? So, I would say that would be your grains. Grains, katong mga concentrates. For example, ang concentrates, katong mga tahop ninyo, darak, kanang mga, unsa pa na dira basta more on grains, even sorghum, adlay, ingon ana. Those are the feedstuffs or feed ingredients that you need to avoid sa paghimo ninyo og feed, pag-formulate niyo og feeds, no? Because why? They increase the chances na ang inyong hayop init lagi ang panahon, init pagid ang gikaon nila. So, init na ilang external environment, pati ba naman nilang internal environment, init sad. So, that would affect their feed intake. So, dili na kay sila mo kaon. Nya, ang mga hayop baya, dili baya yun nila first instinct may og tubig. Medyo tangawon tud na sila, especially mga broilers. So, maghalhal lang na sila hangtod sa eventually matingala ka na luya sila and then eventually mamatay. So, yan na. I'm just saying. So, kung dili gid maiwasan nga nagi mga concentrates gyapon ng inyong feed, formulated feed, no? So, another another technique na inyong mahimo to combat heat stress sa mga hayop is to implement wet feeding. So for example, naghatag ka sila og katulagi tahop lang yung gipakaon niya, init man ang tahop no. Nya dili kayo mo inom og tubig si broiler ninyo. So ang inyong himo lang ana is you take water maski na 1 cup man ang isagol nimo sa ilang pagkaonan, then you mix hangtod sa medyo mabasa siya. Then essentially murag nakumbat nimo ang ano ba, ang dili kay sila mainom og tubig or dili sila pala inom og tubig and then nakombat pud ang na-decrease nimo ang ilahang external heat stress. So inana siya. So those 9 are the factors to consider in balancing a ration. Next, we have the methods of feed formulation or methods on formulating rations or feed rations. So, nauna na nakog topic last meeting si Pearson Square method, right? So, today, I will be discussing the other three methods. So, the other methods are the trial and error method, the algebraic method, and the linear programming, or also known as computerized formulation. So the Pearson square method, as I said before, no, it is a very simple tool for two ingredient mixtures. So essentially dapat pinaka-efficient siya na method if duha ra ka ingredients ang imuhang gi-add. And then it is also used for balancing the protein or energy. Mm. Like this na nasa picture, the one that is a source of energy is si rice bran, and then the one it source for protein is si soybean meal. Kita, di ba nakita ninyo class na si rice bran has a crude protein content of less than 20%, no? 8.2 pa gani. And then si soybean meal naman, which is a protein source of energy, naa siya 44% ng crude protein, which is an indicative which is indicative of a protein source because ano ko ganiha 'di ba na ang protein sources are usually above 20% ng iyang crude protein content. So Pearson square method dali lang siya ma-spot because of its infamous square. Unya na ay desired CP sa tunga niya. Unya na ay crisscross. So that is Pearson square method. Now, let's proceed kay trial and error method. Trial and error method is simple but inefficient. Hmm. Simple but inefficient. So, si trial and error method daw is usually used sa mga small farms, those farmers without prior knowledge to feed formulation. To mga farmers na wapa kabalo ba nga naa Pearson square method, na naa ay algebraic formulation, or naa ay computerized formulation. Ang kaning trial and error method ilahang ginagamit. Next is we have the algebraic method. So katong na yung mga x plus y, automatic that is algebraic method. So algebraic method uses some simultaneous equations and it is suitable for more than two ingredients and often used in universities and small feed meals. But for me, although we are in a state college, I do not recommend using algebraic method because I think there are more methods na mas efficient o mas enjoyable isolve compared kay algebraic method. So the last method of feed ration formulation is si linear programming or computerized formulation. So by far, linear programming is the most advanced method and also uses optimized software to minimize cost while meeting nutrient requirements. So aside sa pag-solve, no, pagtandi-tandi sa nutrient required for the specific species natong himuan og feeds, makalculate na po diri sa sa software kung pilay price ani per ingredients and is it feasible ana. So dali lang siya and then it is usually used no in commercial feed manufacturing. So I think ginagamit niyo siya sa karang mga perfect milling, karang sa Bounty, Magnolia, kanang linear programming. So next class, this is some of the samples of feed preparation. So this one kani is for the broiler starter feed. No, you can see na ang gipili diri na ingredients is na ay 1 2 duha ka energy source or kanang carbohydrate source and then another one, two for protein source. Sorry, naa pa di oil. Ang oil naman is, di ba, included siya kaganiya sa carbohydrate source. So, tatlo ka carbohydrate source and then two na protein source. So, napod siya gisagol diri ng mga vitamin and mineral additives, ano, or supplementations, and then they also added karing mga synthetic amino acids for broilers. Okay. So, ang karing kung mga tanong mo, why 50% ang gibutang na corn, soybean meal is 25%, rice bran is 10. So, kari sila, these numbers were made because siguro ni gamit ang naghimaning sample feed preparation of trial and error method. So, later on, I will be making a video about sa trial and error method of feed formulation. So, para makabalo po mo ba kung paano sa mag-come up aning mga values. And then, kaning sa other side naman, kaning sa dairy cow concentrate mix. So, there's a heavy emphasis sa concentrate mix. So, dapat daghan tag isagol na energy og protein sources. So, diri we can count 1, 2, 3. Oh, so there are 3 carbohydrate sources. And then, naa naman po 1 and 2 na protein source. So, same sa broiler starter feed. And, as you can see, wala tayong nakita dari na raffiges, no? Sa dairy cow concentrate mix. Because you have to remember, ang pakaunon ninyo ani nga feed is not beef cattle na dapat more in raffiges. So, dapat na yung mga napier, kanang mga ipil-ipil, kanang mga rensoni. So, kara sila. But for the dairy cow, dapat more on energy and protein sources, which is nakuha po dari sa sample feed preparation. And also, napod siya addition nga urea with 1%. Okay. Now, since we started talking about urea, let's talk about the urea feeding for ruminants. So, according here, urea is a non-protein nitrogen, no, that is a source used only for ruminants. So, among all the farm animals, only the ruminants, which includes kanyang mga cattle, carabao, goat, and sheep. So, these are the only 4 species that can digest or can be fed with urea. Dili pwede sa poultry o dili pwede sa non-ruminants. And that is because rumen, which is not present in the poultry and the non-ruminants, can be able to convert the nitrogen into microbial protein, which by then can be used para sa ilahang bodily functions or sa ilahang growth performance. So that is the only reason nga nung dili siya pwede pakaunon si urea sa non-ruminants o sa poultry because they do not have the specific organ sa digestive system that only the ruminants have, which is a rumen. Without the presence of rumen, ang urea na nakaon sa poultry or sa non-ruminants will be stuck inside the stomach, and then since it is toxic, especially if mabilin siya sa lawas unprocessed, that could lead your animal to, to undergo toxicity sa nitrogen, and then maybe in the worst case scenario, mamatay ang hayop. So that is why be very careful na ang urea is makaon lang siya sa ruminants. So what are the advantages of urea feeding? So first is it is a cheap source of nitrogen. Yes, partly true. Next is it increases the microbial protein synthesis. Absolutely. And lastly, it improves the fiber digestion when used with fermentable carbohydrates. Okay, so mas lami do di ang kaon sa hayop if ang urea is sagulan siya og fermentable carbohydrates. Unsay example ani mga fermentable carbohydrates? So katong mga tanang carbohydrate ingredients or carbohydrate sources nga gisagulan og molasses. Kato siya. So, aside sa mga advantages ni urea feeding, there are also usage limitations. So, dili ta magamit og urea ad libitum. Okay? Because you should not exceed 1% of the total diet dry matter. So as you can see kanina tong sa feed, ay sa sample feed preparation, you can see that the urea is only set at 1% maximum. Di siya pwede mag 1.5% or 2% because makakos na siya og toxicity sa lawas. Because you have to remember na ang urea has in itself no has a higher crude protein content na I think it was around 281% crude protein content. So dako kayo. And of course, when you use urea, you need to mix it thoroughly. So mix properly with other feedstuffs because if wala siya na mix properly, concentrated ang makaon ana sa tuang hayop. And we don't want concentrated. Kay dili equal parts ang mahatag nga crude protein content. So of course, it is required to adequate energy source. When you use urea, dapat na agad siya kapares nga either molasses or corn. Mm. And also, even though it is good for the ruminants because of the presence of the organ rumen, no, dili di siya pwede ipakaon sa mga younger calves or katong mga bata pa na ruminants, no, because their rumen are unfortunately dili pa siya fully developed. So kung pakaunan ninyo og kanang let's say UMMB ang ato ang mga for example lamb or kanang mga bata na kanding no also known as kid, there's a higher possibility na um dili na siya mo develop properly ang rumen because earlier pa lang no kay nakatilaw nagrumen ang ilang tiyan and then that would mean na ma-damage na ang ilahang gastric or ilang digestive system because nakakonsume sila og dapat dili pa makonsume sa younger animals. So there are some signs of course to physically observe no if ang isa ka hayop is naa siya'y urea toxicity. So first is the frothing at the mouth. So mo ni siya kung yung Bisayaon katong pagbula-bula sa baba karon na makita nga murag white foam no sa baba sa inyong kandi man na karnero, baka or kabaw. Next is muscle tremors. So magkurog-kurog ang ilahang muscles. Either sa ilahang legs man na, sa ilang likod, sa ilang liog, basta kay naguyog-uyog ilang muscles, that means it is a telltale sign, a sign of urea toxicity. Next is anyong hayop dili kay makahinga, hence you will observe rapid breathing or rapid breathing. Paspas kay sila mahinga kay di na kay sila kahinga no because of some blockage sa ilahang diaphragm or sa ilahang lungs due to the muscle tremors. That could be the reason of the rapid breathing. And the worst case scenario, if severe na ang urea toxicity, that could lead to the death of your animal. So, kana sila ang 4 signs na need to watch out if you think na inyong hayop is naay urea toxicity. So, next is the antimicrobial agents in the feed formulation. So, when you see antimicrobial agents, these are the substances added to feeds to control harmful microorganisms. And aside from controlling harmful microorganisms, they are used to improve feed efficiency and support growth. So there are different, specifically 5 types of antimicrobial agents. So we have the AGPs or the antibiotic growth promoters, the coccidiostats. Next is the organic acids. Next is the probiotics and the prebiotics. And the last one is the mold inhibitors. So when you see antibiotic growth promoters, they are the ones that improves the growth and the feed efficiency. So kibale you inject or you add the AGP to the feed formulation to increase the growth performance and the feed efficiency of the through controlling the pathogenic bacteria inside the body of the animal. So although many countries, especially sa Europe, no, European countries are now banning or restricting the use of AGPs to prevent the ever pressing issue of the antimicrobial resistance or katong mga tambal na antibiotics na gina-inject sa mga hayop para unta maayo ang sakit but dili na siya motalab because mas kusga na si kaga compared sa tambal. That is antimicrobial resistance. So example sa AGPs are si bactricin, tylosin, and virginiamycin. Next is we have the coccidiostats. So coccidiostats are usually katong mga medicaments. Yeah, medicaments na ginagamit to treat the coccidiosis in poultry. So very common kining coccidiosis sa mga broiler, especially karing sa mga cub 500. So kana sila. I myself in real life no kato nagkandak mig STR before na aming mga manok nga nagka-coccidiosis and paspas ra kay siya namatay so pagkaugma ah, matay na dayon si manok no. So kung dili ni siya maagapan agad, this could be deadly sa inyong poultry farm. So example sa mga coccidiostats no kay si Amprolium, Monensin o Salimycin. Pero kaning ano man gud kaning makita niyo sa pictures sa PowerPoint no kung makita niyo mura siyang dugo. So essentially what I can describe coccidiosis is mura siyang parvo pero sa ano lang siya sa poultry no kay ang parvo magud sa iring ug sa iro same lang gyapon siya na pag once mag-discharge na og dugo ang inyong hayop tapos medyo langsa siyang amoy no, that automatically means na nana siya sa karang critical condition ba, no? Lisod na siya tambalan because late stage na magud ni mag-appear dapat ang dugo-dugo. So same thing diri sa coccidiosis. That is why importante kay nga usahay kung natay ano no natay pangpalit og amprolium, manensin og salimycin. Butangan yun natog coccidiostat ang ato ang i-formulate na ration. Okay. So next is we have what we call organic acids. So organic acids, unsa ni sila? So example sa organic acids karing si acetic acid, propionic acid, butyric acid, lactic acid, citric acid, ascorbic acid, malic acid. These are all the acids considered as organic acids. Yan, sama ni sila. They control the pathogens and improve the gut health. So karing tanan makita ninyo nga naka-attach per acid, for example, kari si acetic acid, no? Kari siya, oh. Nakita ninyo nga si acetic acid na naka-attach siya diri kay Acetobacter aceti o kay Bacteroides spp. Kaning silang duha nga kagaw, these are the kagaw na kaya makontrol sa organic acids. And that is where nindot si organic acids, no? Kay imbis na ang para gina-control nila ang kalaban ba na instead mo destroy si kalaban, ang himuon hinuon ni kalaban is to be their kakampi unya i-improve hinuon ang digestive tract sa lawas sa tong hayop. Okay, so murag ginana ang initiative or ang goal ni organic acids. Next, we have probiotics and prebiotics. So when you say probiotics, these are the karang mo ni ang mga kagaw na kailangan na good for our digestion, no? Probiotics. How about si prebiotics? Si prebiotics mo ani siya ang mga pagkaon sa mga kagaw na good bacteria. So, kibali si prebiotics, these are the food for your good bacteria. Okay? So, see the difference? Si probiotics, these are the kagaw, like, for example, sa probiotics, katong nasa Yakult, si Lactobacillus casei is considered as a good bacteria. No, karon si good bacteria, para mabuhi siya o managhan siya sulod sa lawas, it needs to it needs to eat, no, pagkaon. So, unsay kaunon ni Lactobacillus casei? So kara dira mosulod si prebiotics. Si prebiotics karon ang kaunon ni Lactobacillus casei or ni probiotics. So that is the difference between probiotics and prebiotics. So all of which can improve the gut microflora. Microflora ibig sabihin tong murag whole ecosystem, whole day biodiversity of kagaw-kagaw sa sulod sa digestive system sa inyohang hayop. Whether it may be bad or good bacteria. Karang entire area nga ga-coexist si bad o good bacteria. Kana. That is the gut microflora. So, unsa may kuan ang purpose ani karon sa existence ni probiotics ug ni probiotics? They are essentially created as an alternative to the antibiotic use. So, tungod sa issue of antibiotic or antimicrobial resistance, na imbento na pod karon si probiotics o si prebiotics to combat that issue. Okay, so kara sila. And then last one, we have the mold inhibitors. So mold inhibitors, from the name itself, mold, as in katong fungi, inhibitors, or atong i-dissect ang word inhibit. So when you say inhibit, ibig sabihin, gina-cancel out, gina-prevent, ginapatay. So therefore, mold inhibitors, they prevent mold growth in stored feeds. And they reduce aflatoxin formation. So example ani is si aflatoxin formation. Okay? So makita nyo diri sa picture kani siya gipalibutan siya og aflatoxin. But this feed on the other hand, no? Makita nyo nga wala ga clump together ang mga pellets. Tapos makita nyo nga wala gid siya molds. But in this region dili ni siya dapat i-tolerate because as you can recall sa atong lesson about aflatoxins, they could be deadly. Mm. So, dapat dili ta magpakaon og molds, ay karang feeds na gimolds na sa ato ang hayop. Okay? So, that ends the discussion for the feed formulation. So, any questions will be reserved to yourself for your own research. And that will be all. I hope na nag-take note mo at the end of this presentation because napatay next na pod nga lesson which will be about the feed processing and manufacturing. Okay.